Assassin's Creed, one of the greatest game franchises of all time, beloved by literally maybe millions of players at this point, led by the one and only Ubisoft, a company that in a mere 5 years has managed to tank their company by 99% on the stock market. Impressive stuff. And now, after Assassin's Creed Shadows, we are gonna see another new innovative approach to making Assassin's Creed games. Assassin's Creed Hexa. We have already previously talked about this game, and I personally think it's gonna be great. Not for the players, but definitely for my channel.
We have heard a lot of very worrying information about the next Assassin's Creed game, Hex. It has been described as the gayest AC experience yet. It has been described by the lead as very different. We have seen a
It literally is supposed to have magic, and then we had rumors that they're removing the magic after Black Flag, so it's a toss.
lot of leaks that point to it being a more controversial experience. And now it seems that with the loss of 50 developers and leadership changes, this release date is going to be pushed out by a significant amount of time if they don't shelve it at all. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy
Honestly, they did not shelf Assassin's Creed Shadows, so I really doubt that they're gonna shelve this one.
time that Ubisoft is in a state of disaster and they need as many wins as they can get. That's why they released something like Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced, which was a good remake, don't get me wrong, but having one good remake isn't able
It was their first financial success in 10 years or something like that. It's been a while.
to save them.
Well, okay, 5 years. 5 years with the Assassin's Creed Odysseys, with the Assassin's Creed, uh, the other good one, Assassin's Creed. I don't remember.
At this point, they have had so many losses, they have wasted billions of dollars. They are not able to capture people's attention with their new games. That, yes, they can no longer take risks, but they are still going to be doing that. I do not think that the majority of the Assassin's Creed audience wants the gayest AC experience yet. I don't think that
Now, Vera, you do not speak for everyone. I personally want the absolute rainbow. I personally want the most absolute tweaked out of my mind experience Assassin's Creed ever. Now, will I buy it? No, obviously not. But do I want it? Yes. You can call me the modern audience. It's gonna be great. I fully support Ubisoft and their endeavors to create history. Or, in this case, herstory.
most people want to play as a woman who has been wronged by men and she's fighting the patriarchy. I don't think
Sounds profitable.
people necessarily want strong feminine energy because we know that Ubisoft in 2026 doesn't know what feminine is. They only know what being a female is, which is very different because, I mean, Captain Marvel is a female. She doesn't have feminine energy. You have plenty of female characters in video games, like Aloy, for example, who are females but aren't feminine.
Now, I mean, maybe she does have a man's skeleton. By the way, that's real if you did not know. They switched out in the second game Aloy's female skeleton for a male to just be a little bit more progressive. Needless to say that did not go well.
So there is a very big difference there, and I don't believe that they know the difference. And I also just don't think that most people want a very different experience from this series. We want them to go back to their roots. We want them to understand what we want, which is just making Assassin's Creed feel like Assassin's Creed again. Though we are hearing some new, pretty worrying information for this experience that its release date is potentially getting pushed off. We don't know when it's going to come out.
Assassin's Creed Shadows also was pushed back multiple times.
even though they had a pretty set in stone timeline, and it just looks like a disaster. So, an insider has claimed that Assassin's Creed Hex will not release until the second half of 2027 at the earliest. And when we started hearing reports about this game back in 2024, the plan was for it to release at the end of 2026, and that was before we knew that Black Flag was going to be coming out. And so those estimates were pushed to the beginning of 2027. Now we're hearing the end of 2027. Who knows? There's not much known about Assassin's Creed Hex at the moment, they say, and the only official news we have received in recent times is that the team lost 50 developers and the game director left Ubisoft. Now, as players wait for the devs to reveal the title officially,
A tragedy.
it seems the launch won't happen for at least another year. And people have also been speculating that they are going to be changing around some of the content because we know that Amsterdam 1666 had gotten a reveal at the Summer Games Fest events. We know that there are ex Ubisoft employees working on that, and these two games seem extremely similar. I mean, when that trailer was being aired, a lot of people thought that it was actually Assassin's Creed Hex because they started off by talking about Ubisoft developers, and so everybody believed it.
So I actually covered the what's it called 1666 or whatever it is. The story, I don't know about the story, but the dialogue seems decent. The dialogue is not modern slop at the bare minimum. So that's nice. The game looks rough though. I did a review on what was available there, and yeah, the gameplay looks rough. And after someone commented, "Hey, did you know that there's actually more of this available?" And turns out that it was. It's actually pretty hidden, so a lot of people don't know more gameplay is actually visible. It's kind of a nice concept. I'm not against it. I do think a game like that could have potential. The dialogue, the way that people talked, if we're being not super critical about a logic and whatnot, is very nice actually. I did enjoy it. I did like it. It did not seem like a modern slop at all, even though you're playing as a main character woman. It it was good. It was decent dialogue. Now the gameplay itself, that's super, super absolutely rough. I mean, we're talking about characters not moving properly. It kind of looks like they have some very basic developer mistakes. For example, when you do the most basic of stuff, they have the problem where an animator or developer goes too deep in it. So, lighting a candle takes 20 seconds because there's this grand animation. Because it's your first job, so you want to do it really, really good. And you don't want to do that. You just want to make it fast. Now, granted, a lot of those things can be fixed pretty easily, it seems like. You can probably fix the AI, the movement, and a lot of the animations, make them faster, which would be a huge help. I do think this game has a lot of potential. Also, by the way, the reason that we're saying this is because it is made by the guy who originally made Assassin's Creed. Yes, and and there's history there. Ubisoft tried that guy had the Witch Assassin's Creed-ish style game in his mind for a very long time, and Ubisoft has been trying to sue the shit out of that guy for literally years. The guy who effectively made Assassin's Creed, yeah, Ubisoft's trying to destroy him because they fear competition. That's kind of the summary of what's kind of happening there.
And it falls into the description of Hex. It seems like the same exact type of game, so maybe they're scrambling. Who knows? It says the claim about Hex's release window comes from the reliable insider Nate the Hate, and as I always say, take everything on the internet with a grain of salt. Recently on X, Nate was asked whether he knows when Ubisoft plans to reveal Assassin's Creed Hex, to which the insider responded, stating game won't launch until the second half of 2027 at earliest. They don't need to rush a reveal slash announcement. In an earlier insider gaming report, it was also stated that the game might be delayed to holiday 2027. So none of this sounds solid. The
By the way, how bad is this for Ubisoft? A company that's literally still, probably a billion at least in debt? Well, it sounds pretty bad. It's pretty bad. They're not in a position where they can delay stuff. Assassin's Creed Black Flag, sure, made money, was actually a good thing for them, surprisingly, honestly. But still, it doesn't mean that they have money. They can't delay these things. Every delay costs them a lot. And if the premise of Hex is, well, what we already assume it is, no one's gonna buy it. It's gonna be a lower performer than the Shadows.
only piece of information we have heard with this game that sounds like it could potentially be a win for Ubisoft is the fact that it is a lower budget game. We do not have official confirmation, but it has been reported that this is going to have one of the lowest amounts of money put into it. That this is only going to cost them about $150 million between the development and the marketing. Now, I personally don't know if I believe that. I think that the marketing alone will
Seems extremely low. Again, the current Ubisoft lie about their budgets is that all of their games are somehow made from 100 million. Even though we know that the Prince of Persia Sands of Time 2D side scroller costed 100 million to make somehow. And we're talking about Assassin's Creed Black Flag also somehow, not Black Flag, but Shadows also somehow just costing 100 million. If every Ubisoft, this is just a logical thing. This is a logical conclusion. If every Ubisoft game developed costs like 100 million just, then how are they in debt? How can they be in debt? It doesn't make sense.
be like $100 million. Maybe the development will only be 150 million, and then it will be like a $250 million total for them, which is actually on the lower end for Ubisoft games, but there's no confirmation of any of this. But yes, what we do have confirmation of is the fact that this team is falling apart. Assassin's Creed Hex had undergone more development turmoil, slipped into a 2027 launch window, and lost 50 developers alongside a lead. So this comes from Insider Gaming, who claimed that the game's new creative director, who replaced Clint Hawking after his departure, had decided to move 50 members of the development team off the project. These 50 workers are said
Should have hired the woman. Should have hired the woman.
to have been moved to Ubisoft's inter-project team, which is reportedly the team Ubisoft assigns workers to when they don't
Wait, though, Jean Guesden, that does sound a little bit feminine, maybe?
have a new project for them. So they were basically just put into a game lobby and they were given 3 months to either be
Nope, it's a man. So sad, Ubisoft, so sad. We could have had so much progress.
put on a project or else they would be laid off and they would be let go, which is kind of hilarious the way that that works. But I mean, Ubisoft is kind of a half assed company, so what do you expect? And according to the report, its earlier release window was June 2027, but just in case it gets pushed further into 2027, cutting 50 members of the development team gives it room to allow for that delay. That's the speculation, at least. And we also know that the game director, Benoit Richter, had left to be a part of a newly founded indie studio. This new report now paints an even worse picture for the project, as it now appears to be suffering a major transition period so close to the finish line, even if it
Transition. I like those words.
doesn't arrive until late 2027. And pair that with the reports that were circulating that it was going to be the gayest Assassin's Creed yet, and also some of the rumors that had been circulating social media. Yeah, I don't know how this game is going to come out and be a win for them. And I know that the access media is trying to paint it in a light that, oh, it's so close to the finish line, it's almost done. That clearly isn't the case. If they're losing so many developers, they're losing game directors. Like, a game director isn't going to leave a project if it is so close to the finish line. At this point, I would assume it's going to be pushed into 2028, which is not a good look. But we know that the official news is that it was described by Mark Alexis Code, who is suing Ubisoft currently, as a very different upcoming flagship Assassin's Creed title. It featured strong feminine energy. It is written by the franchise veteran narrative director Darby McDevitt, who's behind some of the best written games in the franchise. And this is a big W. I think that this sounds positive, but when it's squished in with so many negatives, I don't know if one veteran can actually turn things around. So that's rough. We know that its themes revolve around witchcraft. We know that it is going to feature a female protagonist named Elsa who has supernatural
Elsa.
abilities, and we don't know exactly what her abilities are, but apparently they had toned it
Probably false accusations.
down and scaled it back because she was supposed to be able to do things like turn into a cat, and she was going to have like actual elemental magic, which is what Amsterdam's doing. So I think that's why the newest reports claim they have pivoted and they've removed that really in your face magic, and now she just like makes smoke bombs, and she is able to create poisons, and she's able to do alchemy, and they've gone for a more grounded approach, which, yeah, the responses on social media have not been positive when it comes to this. Obviously, I'm not going to sit here and read a large amount of the responses, but quite a few of them are yikes. Strong feminine energy, or feminist energy. They're very different, and Ubisoft hates the former nowadays. And yeah, if it was actually feminine energy, I think a lot of people would be very intrigued by that, but like I mentioned before, don't believe that Ubisoft is capable of feminine. Not gonna credit me for a lot of these leaks, huh? Even though I'm the one who leaked like 90% of what's in the post.
Yep, I'm sure you did. And Damien, great guy, friend of the channel, a complete insane lunatic, but it is what it is. We love him anyway. Great guy, we talk all the time. The best. In any case, yeah, that is Assassin's Creed Hexa. It's gonna be bad, needless to say. Whatever Ubisoft does, I hope Ubisoft does it faster. I'm personally a modern fan, as you could say. I have changed my ways. I will now represent the righteousness of the modern audience. I will support Ubisoft. Anyway, that was very dark. 10 out of 10. Have a nice day. Bye.